thanks for joining. Hello and welcome to our live session. We do these live streams every Thursday at 4 p.m. CET and 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. If you have any questions about what we're discussing or WordPress, please ask us, and we'll gladly answer live. Today's guest, he's an ex-rock star who lived for a few years of his band's music while touring, started his WordPress career by building websites and founding his own agency. He's the co-founder of Atarim. And most probably you're old as me because your first website was built on GeoCities, and I had that. So welcome, Vito. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for having me, Robert.
Nice. What was your first website about, if I may ask, on GeoCities?
The first one was for a skateboarding crew that we had when I was a teenager, and we were uploading like videos in like the worst quality ever. You know, it's like you can do only 3 seconds.
I can imagine. Yeah, and that small window on the screen.
Yes, like this. Yeah. And the marquees and the whole thing, you know, that's where. And then I did a website. I liked South Park, you know, so I created all these like little icons for South Park. Back, you remember on Windows, you would have all these custom themes, you know, where you build, design these little icons and animations. So I really got into that, and I built a website to show or to share this with people to just download South Park icons.
Nice, interesting. Yeah, it was an interesting time. I remember the whole GeoCities, even the address. It was like geocities.com/ there was some subdomain or like some address or something, geocities.com, then / I don't know, like it's like a house address kind of thing /number. Right. No, it used to be quite a complex URL.
Yeah, yes, it was.
Yeah. Anyway, for anyone who don't know you, Vito, can you introduce yourself a bit? Tell us a bit about you and your career.
Yes, of course. So I'm the co-founder and CEO at Atarim. As you mentioned, I used to be in a rock band back in the day. I was building websites from the back of the van while we were kind of traveling through Europe touring. Then once we turned 30, and it wasn't nice to live in a smelly van with 4 other guys, that's when I settled in London, and I started an agency here, a web design agency that grew pretty fast. And through that, we created a WordPress plugin that was called WP Feedback at the time, which then we brought this to market, and that what's evolved into Atarim. In between, I also dabbled with AI a little bit. Back in 2021, we released the first implementation of AI into WordPress. It was called Bertha.ai. Got squashed by ChatGPT at some point when they came out, but before that, it was a big party. And I've been keeping my eyes on this space since then. And as I mentioned to you, Robert, this week we've opened behind the scenes. It's actually not even public anywhere else. We opened our early access for our AI implementation. And essentially, we've created the first agentic creative team. Which is a pretty bold claim, but I'm happy to talk about this a little bit as well. I'm very much intrigued by all of this technology that's going on now.
Nice. Thanks for the introduction. Before we dive into some questions and some discussions, how can people apply to the behind the scenes, to the closed beta test?
Yeah. So it's not even showing on the homepage right now. So, but if you go to atarim.io/early-access, you'll be able to sign up there. There's a handful of people that we've shared this with them privately just this week. And Robert, you got a scoop right there. It's the first time that it's being shared publicly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, why not let people test it? It's nice. It's always interesting when you get beta testers. I see it because you, as the product developer, of course, learn a lot. But even people kind of like get a taste of what is coming, right? And that's the whole point.
And we're giving free credits, and we did exactly the same thing when we launched WP Feedback at the time. We started with exactly that same kind of process that we're doing this time. Now with a little bit more resources, instead of hopefully back then we did this with about 150 people that joined the beta. Now it's probably going to be in the thousands. So it's exciting. It's like I'm reliving 6 years ago, but now from a different perspective.
Yeah, in fact, something of a related question. You started your WordPress career with first developing websites on your own, and then you launched your own agency. And you had the plugin WP Feedback, which is kind of Atarim is almost like a transition from WP Feedback on its plugin. What were the main pain points basically when you had the agency that push to open Atarim, and kind of like what are the problems you are addressing nowadays with your solution?
So I think that if you do a good job as an agency, you get more work, and if you don't get more work, you need to improve your skills, and then the work starts coming just through referrals. That's the biggest driver of growth within the agency space. So business was good, but it was a pain in the ass working with clients, getting them to give us the information that we needed to tackle the requests. A lot of back and forth, vague messages. It was chaotic, especially as we were scaling and there were multiple team members, and project timelines started to expand dramatically. And so that was the catalyst. And there was a single incident that was like, all right, we got to solve this thing. At the end, where we had a client that was managing a massive e-com website, 6 figures revenue on a monthly basis, and thousands of SKUs, a bunch of like a big WooCommerce site, and that we moved them from Shopify into WooCommerce. It was a complete custom implementation, huge project. And the guy that was our contact was working at a shop. They had like a franchise of tea shops around the world, selling like high-end tea kind of stuff, and we were the website arm, the digital arm. And so someone came to them at the shop while they were kind of talking to customers and stuff, and they wanted to show him on the website the product, and the button was not showing for them, right? The add to cart button. And so they freaked out. They called us. It's like, the button is not there. The button is like, which button? There's like 10,000 buttons on the website, which button? It's like the button. You guys are like, they can't buy the product, and we're freaking out, starting to pull people from different stuff. Let's have a look at this, and back to the client. Can you send us the link? Let's get on a call. Show us. Like, I'm busy, but you guys got to fix it, and the pressure was on. And eventually what it was is that this product that he was showing ran out of stock. So the button disappeared automatically. But out of thousands of products, it took us days to just pinpoint where the request was. And so then when we kind of turned to the team, it's like, why can't you just click any part of the page of the website and just leave a comment where the request is? And that was the kind of beginning of it.
Nice. Yeah, in fact, I think with Atarim, you're solving a problem where customers, clients, by the way, usually it's used by agencies, web hosts, I think even large businesses, no? Who have
like internal teams, usually within marketing operations, product teams, QA teams, but a lot of agencies as well.
Yeah, and I think it's very important for any type of agent, anyone who has multiple websites, to kind of like stream this type of feedback, because quite frankly, that is what makes a successful project usually,
Right. Yes. That cycle, that's the quality layer. A single individual can bring something to a certain level, but just an experience of a team, these cycles, while they take longer, they do elevate the quality of the work, and they make sure everyone is aligned around the same things. Now what we did was we just gave you the team through AI, so they're there talking to you, which is crazy, but it still follows the exact same thing, that you must have the yes man, the tool that allows you to create the Elementor, the WordPress, whatever. And then you need to have that review process in order for it to elevate the quality of the work, So it always comes together, not only in design, everywhere, I think.
Nice, interesting. Yeah, in fact, on your LinkedIn, by the way, whoever who has an agency or deals with clients should definitely follow you on LinkedIn. I like those short snippet videos and tips you have. In fact, you talk about scope creep, which is a very common problem with agencies. Like, it's very normal. You propose a design, propose something to the client, you start working, a few days later, can we just add this button here? Can we just, and it's always start building up. And from a project of a planned 1 month or whatever, usually ends up dragging for much longer.
Yeah.
How can agencies tackle scope creep?
Right. So the way that we used to do this in the agency is that we had a rule that we're not saying no, we're just saying not now. And that changes the entire conversation. And basically what we did is we kept all of these requests on file, essentially building a backlog. This is the definition of a backlog. A bunch of requests that you don't have time or resources to do right now goes in the backlog, right? And so we started building up these backlogs with every single client, so that when we had a month that was a little bit slower, or we hired one more team member and needed to expand the the capacity or the amount of work that is coming in, we already had a bunch of opportunities to go to those customers and just talk to them about what they already told us. So the point was, this is a great idea. If it is, of course, we would tell them if it's not a good idea. But if it was, then okay, this is a great idea, but it's a little bit out of scope to what we're building now. Let's complete this project. It's not a no. It's just not now. We'll revisit this and we'll be in touch once we finish the project. In fewer words, no one can object to this because it puts you back on track. Or and in the extreme cases where there would be like, no, we must have it. It's like, okay, cool, but we already established that this is out of scope. So now, of course, it will come with a bit of a price to it, but generally, my goal was not necessarily to expand the project in real time to extract the most amount of revenue. It was to get it to completion as quickly as possible, because then you start building the relationship with the client that will last for years ahead after you already delivered, after you added the value.
It's a very good point. You have a specific project, and you stick to it. But it's not the first time that agencies or web hosts have these type of problems. You're like, yeah, but it's just a button. Can you just edit? Like, how do you tackle situations where kind of like you don't agree, or at least the client doesn't agree that it's not part of the scope? Because it's just a small tweak here. Or how do you handle this? Because that's very difficult, actually.
Yes. So this kind of small stuff we did do. We actually accounted for this from the beginning. Even now within the company, we have this principle that everyone in the team is aware that 20% of your time is going to get stolen no matter what. No matter what you do, 20% of your time is just going to be taken by something.
Yes.
So when we look at that, is also from a budgetary perspective, you got to give yourself this little buffer, because some more time is going to get stolen through those small requests and things like this. And you want to build a relationship with the client, so you got to make some of these small deposits. As long as you're aware of this from the beginning and essentially create this cushion in the budget from the get-go, then it's cool to do. But it's also important to know when to kind of draw the line, and if you need to explain why it would take too long to create that, you wanted the contact form, but now you're asking for a 70 question survey with multi pages and and automations and all this. Wait. This is I'm not saying no. I'm just saying not now. We'll do it later. We'll dive back into the funnel. Yeah.
Interesting. And how do you tackle? Because I'm sure, especially through Atarim, through your previous plugin WP feedback, and also having your own agency. And I think another common problem I've seen in the past with anything custom, not just theme development or website, is like, it's not, unfortunately, sometimes there are cases where kind of like the relationship turns a bit sour, and some people are like, oh, now I've invested too much time into this project, so I cannot just let the customer go. Or like, where do you draw the line? How do you handle these type of situations? Like, I've been 6 months working, I'm not ready to throw away all this work now. But then, of course, the customer keeps being difficult. They request even more. Like, where do you draw the line? And like, are there any tools that help you with this type of problems?
I think it's more like soft skills than anything else. One thing that I would say, that I'm sure there's some tools that help with these kind of stuff. But one thing I would say is that the knee-jerk reaction is going for the contract, and pulling out the contract and starting to and
it says this. It says this.
Yes, it says this. You signed it, which is, once you put out the contract, that's pretty much the end of the relationship. So you want to try and mitigate things way before it gets to this stage. And most people are reasonable if they understand where you're coming from. I think that the main reason why most clients are the most reasons that you have for these kind of outrageous expectations is because they don't understand what goes into the work. And so it's very easy to, from the outside, to kind of think, like, if you don't know how much it takes, how much what effort is required, what resources are required, it's very easy to kind of just make open statements. So one thing that we preach to also to the folks that work with us and through the system is that it's very important that you would have stages, and which means that you don't even end up in this place where you're kind of worried about most of the money not being with you or things like that, because you've already had milestones within like payment milestones throughout the project. So as soon as they got delivered something first, you got 30%, or sorry, even before you started, you got 30, sometimes even 50%. Then after you deliver the first draft, that's already another milestone. So then the refinement is like the last 20%. So it makes it a lot easier to walk out if needed, without going into like court and things like this, with which I did as well with 2 clients. It was
Okay.
a pain in the ass, and it was not worth my time at all. It was just a matter of principle that and at the end, you get like a couple of grand back. Just the health was not worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the time you spend most probably.
Yeah, the time you spend and the things that just sits on you, these kind of stuff, they're very bad for your psyche. And so sometimes it's fine, just let go. Like as long as you secure the vast majority, you did your best, truly did your best. And I would also kind of take into consideration that when this stuff happened, is my failure as the professional, because they hired me to get it done. So I should have done a better job. And so we always, it didn't happen often, but when things like this happen, you do like a retro and try to check what did we do wrong first. Like it's very easy to just put it on the client, but they hired you as the professional, as the service provider. And this is again another big part of that mindset, where it's you're not building a website, you're the service provider that builds a website, right? So it puts the entire thing under a different perspective. They expect a service, not a website, or also a website, but
yeah, the website is part of the whole package.
Yes.
Yeah, delivering the whole experience, maybe. It's service and experience.
Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, like nowadays, especially talking about feedback and like setting boundaries, many agencies do not exactly just provide a website. As you said, it's a whole service. They also deal with SEO, security, and all this stuff. How does that type of feedback kind of like fit in,
Right.
in the scope, or like even like with solutions like Atarim, etc.? Where does it fit in? Because Atarim, if I'm not wrong, it's mostly visuals, right?
Well, we collect the screen size, the browser versions, like a bunch of technical information along with the visuals as well. But yeah, the vast majority, it's about communicating something visual to the other side, and now to yourself with the AI, with the teammates that are sitting there. But from an SEO perspective, we have many agencies that are leveraging the solution as a way of reporting to clients or reviewing within the team that here you have a missing alt text. Here, this one needs to be updated. This is an H. We have 3 H1s on this page. All of those kind of things that needs to be highlighted. If it's done from the front end, then it's done to Atarim. And now Index, with the SEO agent that we have, does that. He goes through and finds all of the gaps really that you would have within the page, and flags them for you, and hopefully in the future we'll also do it for you.
Nice. Yeah, in fact, you were talking about customer feedback and stuff like, and working with the customer and providing a whole service.
Yeah.
As you said in the beginning as well, soft skills are very important. In fact, one common problem I've also encountered, not me because we don't run an agency, but I heard about a lot, is usually customers don't know what they, as in, like, it's not that they don't know what they need, they just want to sell something, but they have no experience in building a website or where a button should be, etc.
Why would they?
How do, yeah, exactly, yeah, but how do you take it? Because sometimes, especially like, oh, I want this button here. It's like, how do you tackle this and explain, like, the button there is not the best place to do it. You should do it this way, kind of thing.
Yes. So you have to explain the reason. There must be a reason why you put the button in there. And if you can't explain that reason, then maybe you should check. So I think that when I was in high school, I went to I was kind of majoring in art, and as part of it, they tell you it's not enough to just present the piece. You have to have the why.
Of course, yeah. Like, why did you do X or Y? Yeah.
why is this a thing that is worth looking at, or what are you trying to convey with this thing, and whether this is like literal like paintings or UI, you must consider the user's experience. So there must be a reason why the button is like the book a call is on the top right, because the logo is on the other side, so you have that scan that goes through, so it's a good place to put the big CTA. You can reason all these kind of stuff. I think that one of the things that came from just playing with a few people already with the AI is that now you have a companion that you can vet in real time there. So you can call on Pixel and say like, Pixel, do you think that this is the right one or this is the right one? Maybe not with clients, and actually they can't see the comments. It's not visible to those to clients, only within the team. But a lot of times these debates happen internally, even before they come with clients, and then you have two professionals that have completely opposing opinions as to what needs to happen. And so yeah, so sometimes usually the way that it works, it reverts to the one that has the most seniority or or authority within the organization. But with clients, you just want to explain to them. They wouldn't know, and they shouldn't,
Of course, of
But
course.
if I go to the mechanic, if I ask a stupid question, he can laugh at me or he can explain to me.
Exactly. Yeah. Correct. And it's about, as you said, soft skills and dealing with people and explaining things the right way. And as you said, I think in most people are very visible, and as long as you explain it properly.
Yes, if you have a reason, if you really have a true reason, like what's the fact?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, why should it be here? And that's why it makes more sense. We've done tests in the past and explaining.
Right.
Good. You've been mentioning a lot of AI. AI, of course, nowadays is a big thing. So just to see like where AI fits in. So Atarim basically is a sort of like solution. For example, I have an agency, I have a number of clients, I'm designing a website for them, or I'm maintaining a website for them. Something stopped working, as you said, for example, or I want to change something. And there's also like kind of like ticketing system and stuff like that in the background too. Now, the interesting question: where does AI fits in exactly?
Right. So what Atarim does, it allows humans to gain clarity, or the team members to gain clarity through visual collaboration, which means that when you send a message just via email, and you're trying to describe something visual, most cases it's going to be vague. In fact, 78% of creative collaboration via email is vague by nature, which requires an additional back and forth to explain it. Okay. So what Atarim does, it brings this experience into the design, so that you grab that automated screenshot. You can just point and click, kind of like, I have a whiteboard behind me that I haven't used in many years, because I have point and click tools online that I do the same thing with, and back in the early days, or with graphic design and things like this, you would meet up, you would look at the design, and you would point, change this text to this, make this bigger, change this one. You would actually look at it, hold it, and look at it.
It's funny you're mentioning this, because the first website I designed for our business 10 years ago, I had a couple actually in-person meeting with the designers and developers. You have to go there to the office. We had like 2 or 3 meetings. They first in the first draft, then you print it, mark a few things. Exactly. Yeah.
It's exactly that. And I remember we were doing this in graphics as well. Back in when I was doing flyers and stuff for the band, the print house would send me a fax, so we can annotate the fax and mark on it, and then you'd fax it back. So they were doing what Atarim does, really. Now, all of this stuff, all they do is they provide context and clarity to the person that receives the information, because now you not only got a message that the button is broken, you see where it is, you get the URL, you get the screenshot, you see exactly what happened, you get the error, the console errors, things like this. But now you don't need the person on the other side to do these exact type of interactions, because it just so happens that the context, because we were overcorrecting on bringing context and clarity to humans, it works very well now with agents as well. And if you remember, about 2 months ago, images became way better. I don't know if you're tracking the space or but you remember, like, OpenAI's images became just
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And And most people think it was a kind of an improvement that was done on the output, but in fact, it was on the input. Image processing through AI just became way, way, way better than it was before. And you can even already see implementations out there in the market, like videos became way better just weeks after. And this is because now the AI can look at the design or at an image and understand it to the level of a pixel. It can understand high fidelity imagery, which means that if I'm trying to make a video, if I want to predict the next frame, I want to see the previous one with as clear as possible. And once that happened, it allowed them to create sequences that are way, way better. So exactly in that same way, this unlocked this use case for us, for AI to actually look at your design and understand it to the level of a pixel. So Pixel, our designer, the designer agent, is able to flag to you alignment issues that are literally by pixel. There's 2 pixels missing here, or there's the padding is not consistent in this box compared to this box, or anything like this can be done now from a visual perspective. Now, also, we sit in the code. So that gives us another edge, because once you have another layer of implementation, that just provides even greater context. So that now the stickers are, instead of the human needing to click to leave a comment and tell you what they want you to do, the AI comes in and gives you a QA of the entire page with those stickers without you needing to hire a $500,000, $500,000 worth of salaries and consultancy fees between 6 different team members that we're introducing to the team. So basically, we just instead of waiting for our users to add team members, we gave them the team members.
Interesting. So actually, I thought it's the other way around. So AI is actually helping the users who are using Atarim, as in like the agencies and the host, not the client. So I thought maybe you're automating like the client talking to, the typical first stage support. So it's actually helping the agency or the
elevate the quality of the work. That's really what makes quality work, is a collaboration within a team. That's what creates quality stuff. So we're just simulating this experience in real time. So imagine that when you're working with your SEO person, you don't need to wait 2 weeks and pay them $2,000 to do a review of the page. Just click a button, and what took 2 months, 2 weeks, now takes 60 seconds, and boom, you get it from an SEO expert. Now, in order for it to be as efficient as an SEO expert, it needed to also have access to additional tools. Like, if I'm, this was a use case that happened at my agency. We used to have a guy from a local SEO agency. We were the design agency, so whenever we had a big project, we would go out to Oscar, and we would hire them to go through the website and give us suggestions on what we missed, what can we improve to improve the on-page SEO, right? And this happens every day, but it took 2 weeks, and it cost $2,000. And so now, and what he did, he went into additional tools, Href, SEMrush, did a bit of keyword analysis, came back with educated decisions. He had access to tools. Now, as of literally a couple of weeks ago, I guess, or a month and a half ago or so, AI now has access to tools. So we provided each agent with additional tools that it can decide to call upon to run additional reports, to a place where now the index, the SEO guy, for example, can you might see a comment popping up on a keyword that is on the homepage or somewhere, and that would say this is a good keyword, but if you use this one that is pretty much similar, you have way bigger searches and way less competition. Straight away, because it did the work. It went on and came back with those suggestions in real time. Apart from flagging things like there's a missing alt tag and all of those, you have 3 H1s on the page. If you go now to GitHub's homepage, we ran our review with our agents, and they have 4 H1s on the homepage.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, I'll definitely check it.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. I don't know why, because of course the first implementations of AI that we've seen were all typically the automated chatbot and stuff like that. I thought you were using AI for the client, not actually for the users who are
And we
using the
also do
Atarim
that. So
platform.
there's one feature we call this the clarity test, and really what it is one of our main ethos is to make sure that we provide 100% of clarity in between 3 to 5 words. It's like the same,
Mhm.
because people leave feedback in 3 to 5 words. Make this bigger, change this to this. It's always these kind of strings of text. But still, so as I mentioned, 80% of comments or 78% of messages, creative messages that go through email are vague enough to require a back and forth. We tracked, we have thousands of emails to our inbox, and we have thousands or millions of communications through our visual collaboration tools. We're literally reducing this by 56% already, but you're still left with this 20 some percent vague messages that require back and forth. So I wanted to get this to zero. So what we did is we basically simulated the experience of what you do when you see a vague message. So Robert, if you go to a page and someone left you a comment that says, I don't know about this one. Yeah.
What do you do exactly? Which is, I'm presuming it's a very common feedback, most probably.
Very common.
I use it myself now. I'm real in hindsight. Like, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is that? What the hell do you want? And so then really all you have to, there's left for you to do is do this, right? Slap your forehead and then come back and say, okay, Robert, please explain. What do you mean? Let's get on a call. Send me a screenshot. All of these kind of
Highlights and
but instead, we created an agent that works on the front end. So when the client or team member leaves a vague message, Claro, which is the name of the team member, he's the project manager. Like a project manager does, he steps in real time. So Robert kind of like Grammarly checks for grammar, Claro checks for clarity. And so whenever the message came in, it intercepts in real time with 3 suggestions based on what your initial message was, what it can see, and the code that sits behind it. Within a matter of a few seconds, it tells you, wait, you mean that the background color is kind of crazy? Maybe change the color to this hex code. Do you mean that the font size should be bigger? Maybe change it to this. So it gives a few suggestions so that the user, the client, the team member, in a simple language can just click, yeah, actually, this is what I meant, and clicks on a clarify button, and then it delivers a message to the team that is 100% clear. And through the initial test that we've done, we've reduced vague messages from 78% in email to 0.01% through Atarim.
wow, interesting. By the way, talking about, because before you mentioned how much AI improved with videos and images. Lately, I've got this video popping up on YouTube. Have you ever seen this Bigfoot vlog? You should look for it. There's this Bigfoot vlogging it's amazing.
Cool.
So definitely AI is very powerful. It's interesting that you implemented on both sides. However, of course, it's still the early days. There's still most probably some mistakes. What balances and checks are there to make sure, especially if you talk about automatic code changes, SEO, like some changes can be quite critical on a website.
I agree 100%. So first of all, our AIs, our agents for now are consultative. So they bring the information to the user, and the user makes a decision whether they want to accept it or not, and also execute on them. But in the world of evolving MCPs, which is again the cutting edge of technology. Figma released their first version of their MCP about 6 weeks ago. Wix did theirs about 5 weeks ago. There is one kind of wandering around the WordPress space that Yoast built. That is kind of getting tossed around like a CLI, WP CLI MCP. So it's coming, and in this reality, then the agents will also be able to execute. So when you say that there's a tag that needs to be changed, if this plugin and this plugin is installed, you click and accept. It doesn't create a task that will allow you to continue the conversation. It will just go and do it. And this is really the end magic that I'm waiting for technology to keep up. We're already at the cutting edge, but and we're ready for something like this to happen. But for now, it's consultative. Now, you're correct. There should be a lot of checks and balances in place to make sure that things are proper. Let's say. And we've went through all of these cycles with Bertha back in 2021 when the technology was way more basic. So you had to do a lot more training, a lot more hand-holding with the AI than what those models offer you today. They're pretty fine-tuned. Of course, we brought in millions of communications and additional layers of context, 2,500 point checklists, and a bunch of additional stuff that it can look into. But at the core, the AI is already optimized. And I'll give you an example. Back then, in order for you to get access to ChatGPT, or before ChatGPT, to OpenAI's GPT-3's beta, there was kind of like an API access before, an early access. You had to prove that you trained the model to not be racist or to not be like all kinds of like bad words, and in order for you to do that, you have to make it one first. You have to bring it out of it and then subdue it. And that was a horrible experience that I experienced with one of my first experiences working with AI was it talking really bad stuff about me and my family and everything in between. And so it was. So now it's a lot easier in that sense. It comes in out of the box in a lot more of the cases.
Nice. For those who don't know, because even I've heard the name before, but I'm not sure. What is exactly an MCP?
Right. So an MCP is kind of a wrapper for APIs that allow an LLM to interact with it. So think about this like this brings in the world of tools into or tools that you can execute on based on decisions done by the AI. So, for example, if I am connected to Trello's MCP, for example, I can make a request that will say to the LLM, change the task from pending review to complete. I can write it, and it will go and will do it. It will execute APIs on the back of language. That's kind of like the broadest sense of what it is. It's kind of a wrapper for APIs, or it's a protocol like APIs, but essentially it's a wrapper like for APIs for LLMs to interact with them through decisions rather than direct connections, which is what we've been doing through APIs for the past decade or 20 years or so. For example, it will allow product makers to not create rigid integrations, but connect to a bundle. So this way, if I want to execute, if I want to create a task from Atarim in Asana, for example, I don't need to make sure that my APIs are properly connected always. If they change something, it breaks. If I change something, it breaks the whole thing. There's two LLMs that connect and discuss with each other, or basically there's an LLM and an MCP that connects and discuss, accepts the request, chooses which API to trigger, and then does it.
I see. So it's like a replacement for Zapier kind of thing?
You can say that. Zapier will probably have you can say that, but Zapier is very deterministic. You have to have very specific flows, and it's like an API connection. It's deterministic. If this happens, then this happens. But here, it's a lot more exploratory, and it's a lot more driven by the LLM, which can create variations, but also can create some magical stuff. And as these things will evolve, and in WordPress for now, you can type in create a page, and it will go and create a page, or create a page that the title of it is this and the date is that, and then it will go and just do it.
So with MCP, basically you have way more, I would say, like flexibility, creativity. As you said, like Zapier is very specific. If this happens, do this. But
Yes.
LLM can understand and process that differently, basically.
Yes, can decide, and then decide. Can look at the options and decide which API to trigger, basically.
And how much further will API go? For example, sorry, not API. How much further will AI go? Like in products like Atarim, for example, do you think there's a place in the future where it connects with Google Analytics, checking core vitals and stuff, and actually, are we going there? You think, or it's more still basic?
The first implementation is the first ever creative team. That's already a world of possibilities just sitting
Can
around
imagine.
this, and the goal is to provide additional tools regularly, so that the different agents, each within their own respective roles, can execute on different requests. Most tools don't have proper, don't give you the ability to do that just yet. But I definitely see a near future where you will be able to change a Figma file directly from a suggestion that Pixel gave you, and you say, "Yeah, accept. I agree with that. Change it," or change a block within Gutenberg based on a suggestion from an SEO, from an index, or from the content, the brand voice agent Lexi, and just say, like, "Yeah, I like your title better. Accept," and pack, it's done. And so I think that this is the next level for sure, and maybe a year, 2 years from now, this is probably gonna be available already. But in terms, from our perspective, we now place AI first, not as a company. Support comes first. As a company, is our
Of course.
one of our. It's been the mantra from day one. But we're an AI first company in terms of a product, and internally as well, in terms of how we do things within the organization. And so I think we're just gonna keep diving into this new layer of innovation, whatever comes around the corner. Where there's discussions of introducing virtual browsers into the agents, and then they can do even more magical stuff. Like there's it just opens the possibility, because really what we did is we created the team member in front of us. Yeah. Now it's a matter of, like a team member, like a real team member, it's a matter of which tools and skills you keep instilling within them for them to get better and better at their job and be more senior. So yeah, just the beginning.
Interesting. Interesting. Can you share just a few, apart from Atarim and everything, how you are using, maybe a few places where you're using AI as a business, apart from the product itself? Because it's really interesting. I mean, like you clearly dived a lot into it. We are using it as well, don't get me wrong, but you clearly dived into it like
Yes,
really.
yeah, I like it. I really got into the rabbit hole with this one for sure. So first of all, we have custom GPTs for a couple of years since it was available. We were already kind of we were already working with like libraries of prompts and things like this. And when the custom GPTs came out, this was a huge level up. And so we have things like a script that, or a custom GPT that knows my voice, Andrew's voice, and Zachary's voice. We're all working on our YouTube channel, so it can produce scripts for us based on previous knowledge that we've shared with this, transcripts of conversations that we've had. And of course, you always have that 20% involvement of a human to make sure that you want to say these things, but it saves a whole bunch of time. I'll give you another. That was a really powerful example.
So wait, is it
Yeah.
just preparing the scripts, just the scripts, right? It's not actually doing the record. It's
No,
just
no,
the scripts.
not doing the videos,
Yeah.
because we have like the way that I see this, humans are not going anywhere. Yeah. And so even with our implementation, I was saying that okay, we now don't need to hire Index to do the SEO review, but the guy from the SEO now doesn't need to hire the designer because he gained another 5 team members around them. So whatever your skill set and your personality is, it will already give you a bit of an edge compared to anyone else that comes into the space. But now you have additional tools that are supporting additional work, and additional agents supporting additional work. So yeah, so we still acknowledge that humans are here, and we film the videos and all of those kind of things. But also throughout this entire YouTube process, we're also editing with AI, removing like 1,000 splices of me saying like an idiot.
Yeah, I know exactly.
So all of that is just gone with AI. Saves so much time. One really interesting project that we did was I wanted to revamp our entire help center, and that meant that we needed to write I did a research. I did like deep dive research into the companies that we want to take inspiration from, and like how is their how help docs are created, what are the categories, and blah blah blah. I watched a bunch of video, took transcriptions from videos, fed into the AI along with my knowledge, created a strategy of how we're going to do this. And eventually, what we realized is whatever we had was not good enough. We had to scrap the whole thing and create 75 articles, which is the apparently the magic number for a company of our size to not overwhelm the user, but also give enough context and information between the different categories. There's a few reasons to it. I'm not going to get into it, but the point is that we needed to create 75 articles from scratch, Robert, and really the person that knows the product the best is still me, which is also a problem because I'm not going to sit around writing freaking 75 articles, taking screenshots, describing all of this. So instead, what I did is I filmed 7 hours of me going through the plugin, going through the product from the WordPress plugin to every other implementation, the Figma integration, the URLs, and all those kind of things. Every single button, every single menu item, every single tooltip. I talked about it not only from what is it, but also why it's there, for which audiences and all those kind of things. It's really deep. This 7-hour video became we split it into screens and stuff, and now every new team member watches. I'm putting them through a fire test to see if they can bear listening to me for 7 hours, and they watch all of this. It's 2x the speed, but they have to watch all of that so they get to know the product. But then this created 450 pages of transcript that went into a custom GPT that now knows everything about the product. And so along with the strategy of how to write these articles, we created 78 articles within 2 weeks. Which was insane, including a review process with Atarim. So we went in and left comments. I was like, no, this is not true. No, this is this. So we used our tool to kind of like annotate the page before it went live. And yeah, and that was definitely a 100x type of lift because this would have taken months to do.
Of course. Yeah, I really understand that. In fact, we always have, as product vendors, we always have this problem, like how much should I put in the knowledge base? How much should I put in the product page? Should every feature really be listed? Because sometimes, some features are really must be listed, but some features like, maybe 0.x% of users actually required it. So it's not even worth hassling about. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Switching back a bit to the product, products like Atarim. So you have AI, you have a lot of data being shared, etc. How is it still suitable for, let's say, agencies or hosts or whoever who deal with regulated sensitive data? Like there are a lot of agencies or hosts who just deal with medical websites or just with financial websites.
Yeah.
How does privacy, compliance regulations, and all this stuff fit in with such a product?
So first of all, we're SOC 2 compliant already. We're GDPR compliant. We invested a bunch to make sure that we have enterprise grade security and things like this to serve the type of Fortune 500 companies that are using our software. And also from a privacy perspective, there is a bunch of components to it when you're considering AI, and everything is anonymized. First of all, when it comes to this, and then we also pay the extra so that we don't share with any of the models. So it's not used for any additional training. And we're currently, this is the first implementation that we did right now, but we're probably going to have another one that doesn't have it on the free accounts. So if someone wants to use the free account and get a few reviews and conversations with the AI agents through the chat, they can do that, but the information will be used to this, which I think is a fair exchange that now happens. This, and basically what you do is you just steer this into like unlocking a feature. You just steer to a different LLM with a bit of optimization for the different use case to process the information. Because we built the system on our side, Robert, the LLM is just the language layer. It's just what translates all of the information and all the data into readable text for the user. So we avoided a bunch of these stuff by doing these kind of things. And I think that if this as this is going to take off, and we're going to roll out more and more, we're going to start working into the places of custom custom self-hosted stuff, to kind of continue on this journey. But it's already at the forefront. And again, from Bertha, I already remember these types of requests that came in even years ago. For the enterprise, we have like the white paper, AI usage white paper or something like this. It's like a legal document that allows them to understand how we're leveraging it, for this kind of stuff. But it's like enterprise
enterprise level business. Yeah. Very, very interesting, Vito. A lot, definitely a lot of information, a lot about AI, a lot for agencies and hosts. There's a lot to learn and stuff like that. And Atarim is an platform independent solution. It's not just for WordPress. It's just an online service. It would be interesting to see, the self-hosted solution. That would be, it's another different ballgame, no? Most probably, even like supporting it and
right. So I don't think we're going to be allowing people to self-host the software, but we're going to self-host the LLMs.
Okay, so the software will be still hosted by you, but the LLMs can be self-hosted. So there's a even, I wouldn't say bigger guarantee, because there's already guarantee, but it's your data is contained within your server's premises.
In our area, which is AWS, with like top security and pen tests and all of this stuff that allow us to be compliant. Basically, it's boring stuff. I much rather tinker with the front end than do these kind of things, but it's important as well.
I think many people don't realize when you develop a product, like it's always like that. Even with me, when we started the plugin, this is the fun part. But as soon as the business starts growing and you have to deal with accounts and legal things and filling some form for some reseller and agreeing to some terms and conditions, you realize that it's much more than the fun part. I think it's part of life. I think everything like that in life is like that. I mean, if it's just fun, most of it will be boring. You appreciate the fun parts because some parts are boring. Otherwise, it will be always the same. A lot to digest there. Thanks a lot, Vito. Where can people find you or learn more about you, your product? How can they get in touch with you?
You can feel free to follow me or connect with me on Twitter or on X and on LinkedIn. I share a bunch of stuff there on the regular. And if you want to join the early access,
I was going to remind you.
Atarim.io/early-access. And it's before anyone else. It's not even posted on our socials yet, Robert. So this is really a scoop.
Thanks. So we're going to add it to our YouTube description, description as well, so you can find the link there. Thank you for following. Like and subscribe to get notified. And thanks a lot, Vito. And hopefully, we'll talk again soon.
Thank you very much, Robert.
Thanks, Vito. Thanks.